We got some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have just hired Chip Kelly. I'm Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report, and I am live right now at home with Chuck. I really appreciate everyone being patient tonight. For those that do not know, I was at a wedding tasting with my fiance, Alex, and I'm going to be honest, we have more plans after this, so I cannot stay for very long, and my commitment to excellence with the nation, it goes very, very far and beyond. And I think that you guys know how much I love the Raiders, how much I love all of y'all, and how dedicated I am to being able to provide the news. So it does beat me up inside that I can't be at the studio right now and I can't be at a timely fashion. But at the exact same time, I'm trying not to get divorced before I get married. So we do have a little bit of more wedding plans. I got to only stay for a little bit. So here's what I want to do. I want to get wild. I want to answer some questions around Chip Kelly because I'm fired up, man, right? And I love my fiance, Alex, to the moon and back, and she understands how dedicated I am to this craft. She saw on my face the moment that Chip Kelly got hired. I mean, imagine you're sitting at your wedding tasting and you're like, holy shit, Chip Kelly's the new OC for the Las Vegas Raiders. So she could tell that I was a little bit distracted. I love her. Again, everybody spam Alex down below. She's the real MVP. So I'm going to hang out here for 30 minutes to 1 hour. I want to answer questions. I'm going to answer super chats, and then I hope that everybody understands this. I got to take care of mine too. You know what I mean? And I got to take care of her. I love her to the end of the world and back. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things. And, you got to have a real strong, independent woman to support you when you do a job like this. And I hope that real talk, y'all understand that. But that doesn't mean that we can't have a little bit of fun right now. And I want to answer some questions. Also, Chuck told me that he's down to hang out here for a little bit. And I told Chuck this: every time somebody bangs here on today's show, and a bang here on the Raiders Report, because I had to pull up today, every single bang today is a $50 super chat. I got some Fireball. I got one of my favorite wines. It's Miami wine. That's what I've been drinking tonight. And I don't want to deter from that too much. So every bang, I'm taking a sip, I'm doing a shot of Fireball, and we're going to do this thing the best we can for 30 to 40 minutes. So any question that you guys got on Chip Kelly, lay it into me right now. I just put out a few videos on the Raiders Report already regarding how excited I am, and I knew that the Raiders were a team that was looking for somebody that had some head coaching experience from before. And when I was mentioning Kelly, for all the OGs out there that remember this, I was mentioning Kelly was a name that I was hearing a lot of because of the Mike Vrabel talk as well. I'll be real. I haven't heard too much from Kelly just in the last few weeks. There was a lot of things to bevel, but oh man, these Raider beat reporters, man. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I really am. But Vic Tafur, literally just 2 days ago, it's like the Raiders are all eyes on Bevel. And then today, out of absolutely nowhere, I mean, it was literally like somebody came down the lane, fast break, threw one up. Imagine if LeBron threw one off the backboard to Anthony Davis. And then when Anthony Davis went up for a one-handed slam, it was Luka Doncic, and he threw it up down below. How many Laker fans are fired up about that trade? Because I'll tell you this, it's got to be the worst trades in NBA history. Luka Doncic is a Laker. For all you Raiders, Laker fans out there, I could not be happier for you. Seeing people down here in Dallas, they're doing arm wrestling matches for who's the worst guy, Mark Cuban, the Mavs, or Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. I couldn't be a happier individual. Got a super chat coming in from Dan. It says, haven't been this pumped for a new season since the Devontae trade. Let's think about this. And how many people, let me know down below, type me if I'm resonating with you. But when you think about it, if I would have told y'all early on that our head coach is going to be Pete Carroll, our offensive coordinator is going to be Chip Kelly, and our defensive coordinator was going to be Patrick Graham, if you would have signed up for that, I think 95 out of 100 Raider fans would have said, yeah, hell yeah, Mitch. I'm absolutely signing up for that. And I hope that you guys can tell how fired up I am, because if you wanted a fun, innovative offense, if you wanted the complete opposite of Luke Getsy, then you're getting that in Chip Kelly. And I know Kelly struggled in years past being a head coach, but some guys aren't meant to be a head coach. And all the issues that Kelly had was more of like chemistry, team building. It was never an X's and O's standpoint. Kelly's issues were more, he was a bad leader of men. And guess what? I don't need him to be a leader of men. I still want him to lead by example. And a lot of times, you got to fail in years past to be able to show that you got it now. But you're telling me right now, somebody with the X's and O's mind of Chip Kelly, you pair that with somebody that's also a great teacher in Patrick Graham, and then you combine that with Pete Carroll, who I think is the poster child of what it takes to be a great CEO head coach in the NFL. And I think that, that was one of the things that the Raiders wanted at Antonio Pierce. They wanted a CEO level of head coach, somebody that was going to be able to motivate a roster, somebody that was going to be able to build Rome in, 2 to 3 years. This is a phenomenal hire by the Raiders going out and getting Chip Kelly. And it's just another proof that this Raiders organization is acting like a smart organization. What up, Akash? I see your super chat down below. What kind of quarterback do you think that we will like? I mean, I got to go back and we got to look at Justin Fields, because the amount of times that people, when I was talking to a lot of my sources at the time around Mike Vrabel, the number one OC name that they were mentioning to me was Chip Kelly. And I'll say this is on me, because as soon as the Raiders didn't hire Vrabel, in my mind, I instantly thought that, okay, Chip Kelly isn't going to be an option anymore. And, let's be real. I know a lot of times I say on this show, I heard this name before. And for a lot of the OGs, I said this name before. But I say that because there's nobody that makes more videos in this Raiders content world than me. And I do make a lot of videos. And I'm not afraid to say that I make a lot of videos. So, that's a little bit on me. What, are you fired up about this or what? Dude, you see this? This guy, he's fired up about Chip Kelly. So, that's on me a little bit, where I haven't, kept on talking about Kelly, but it's because it was a name that I didn't hear. But a quarterback to keep in mind is Justin Fields, because I'm telling you, when everybody was talking to me about Vrabel, the number one name that I kept saying, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly, and the number one quarterback that was being mentioned to me when everybody was telling me about Kelly was Justin Fields. Justin Fields, Ohio State. Kelly wanted to go to the NFL for a long time. So I'm telling you this right now. I know Russell Wilson's got a connection with Pete Carroll. But I know Justin Fields, and there's a lot of Ohio State connections with Chip Kelly. And I know he was only there for 1 year. But I'm telling you, it's somebody to keep in mind. And I know people might not like the name Sam Darnold. I literally put out a mailbag this morning, was it today, around, I don't know if I want Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold in a Chip Kelly offense becomes a lot more intriguing. Jalen Milroe becomes a lot more intriguing. Jackson Dart in a Chip Kelly offense, I almost think it might be the perfect offense for Jackson Dart. And when you hear the amount of rumors around one player, I'm somebody where you got to take notice to it. And the amount of rumors that are circulating right now around Dart, you got to take notice to it, because the offense that Dart executed at Ole Miss is a little bit different than what you saw at Oregon, past some of these offenses, at Ohio State, some of these Chip Kelly offenses. But they are very easy, reads. It's your guy making the right decision and trying to push the football down the field, but also having that athletic ability where if that first read isn't there, you have that mobility to be able to tuck it down and to be able to run. So Jackson Dart's another quarterback. I like this hiring also because it gives the Raiders a little bit more flexibility of what they can do at that quarterback standpoint. It gives them a little bit more flexibility of what they can do overall from an offensive standpoint. If nobody bangs on this live show, I'm not kidding you, I'm going to be mad. I'm sitting there eating, not even, we were just getting ordered. We were just ordering, and again, I don't know how many people have ever done a wedding tasting before, but we were getting ready, get all of our food, and we just sat down, and then bang, it hit, and I was like, oh no, she's going to kill me. She's going to kill me. So I mean this. I need y'all to have my back on this one. I need us to get a little bit rowdy, because I told her and we ended up having an amazing dinner. We cut it maybe 30 minutes short. But what really kicks, what really grinds my gears in this whole thing is, you got to hold true to your own. But Alex and I, we had, plans after. And that's where she's kind of beating me up a little bit here. And she deserves to beat the shit. If I show up to work tomorrow with a black eye, you guys are going to know why. Though it might also be Chuck, because he's like, wait a minute here, dude. So we got super chats coming in. And again, I'm very, very scatterbrained right now. And it's because this is a move that I'm very excited about. I didn't plan on talking about this tonight. But at the end of the day, I take a lot of pride in being able to cover the Raiders. And I take a lot of pride in being able to communicate with the nation. I take a lot of pride that there's 1,700 people right now wanting to know what I have to say about this hire. But I think it's also really cool that we have this many people that are this fired up on a Sunday that the Raiders just hired an OC. What up, Malachi? Will Howard or Jackson Dart? It's Jackson Dart, and it's not close. I don't think Will Howard's a very good NFL type of quarterback and I'm not even sold on Jackson Dart. This isn't me saying that I love Dart. I've seen some rumors, and I was talking to Jordan Schultz this morning, and Schultz was like, dude, I'm telling you, people are telling me that he's going to be a top 10 pick. That's way too high for me. Like, if you want Jackson Dart to be a top 10 pick, I think that's an absolute disaster. If you're the Raiders and you're able to get Dart in the second round, that's even still a little bit too rich for my blood. But I know that the Raiders need a QB, but still there's a lot of holes on this roster where you got to be able to fill some spots, and I want to go best player available. But if I got to pick between Will Howard and Jackson Dart, it's Jackson Dart every single day of the week, but he's not ready to start right away. So I'm going to go out, I'm going to get Dart, and then when you go out and you get Dart, then you can also pay a quarterback like Justin Fields. You let him be a guy for a year or two, and let Dart learn for a year or two, and then you go on from there. Let's freaking go, Ryan Edwards! Bang! I was trying to get Chuck to bark. Ryan, he wasn't biting on it. Though. Ryan, cheers to you, bro. Real talk. Greatly appreciate it. Love your content, man. As always, tell me your perfect offensive lineup for Chip. This is the way to do it, though. For everybody watching right now, send in a super with an actual question. Don't get me wrong. I can party with the best of them. You guys already know that. But I can also party with the best of them, and we can also talk Raiders. I mean, that's why we're here after all. My perfect offensive lineup for Chip, I'm going to go at the quarterback position. The only way that I'm going to paint this picture, and I'm going to take extra long time answering the 50s, just so y'all know. If I'm going to paint this perfect picture, we got to paint the picture of this current situation that we're in with the Raiders, where, yes, we're in win now mode with Pete, but we're also kind of like in this 2 to 3 to 4 year window where we also got to plan for the longevity, because you can't hire Pete and also not plan for the long term. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So if I'm the Raiders, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to sign a quarterback like a Russell Wilson, and I'm going to pair Russell Wilson with a young quarterback like Jalen Milroe, because to me, there's no alien in this draft like Milroe. And I know Milroe's not a good quarterback, but you can't deny the fact that he's just an athletic freak. So if you were to pair an absolute nerd in Russell Wilson and another nerd in Tom Brady and their mental philosophy in the game, if that was able to somehow convert over to Jalen Milroe, and then if Milroe was able to learn how to become a passer, because Milroe is the exact same type of passer that Jalen Hurts was coming out of college. And that might be hard for a lot of people to believe, but that's a fact. Like, Hurts was not a good thrower of the football coming out of college, but it took time and time again. They put the right system, they put the right offense in place, and now he's able to go out there and execute. Where if you told Jalen Hurts to go out there and throw the football 40 times a game, he's not going to be a good quarterback. But if you need him to throw the football 28, 30 times a game, run the ball 8 to 10 times, that also opens up so much other stuff. Like, that's a recipe for success. And when I look at the AFC West, I'm not trying to get in shootouts with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not trying to get in shootouts with Justin Herbert. I'm not trying to get in shootouts with Bo Nix. And I say all those things, but also look at how Bo Nix and the Broncos won games. Look how the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh won games this season. I think that's also kind of the same recipe that the Raiders need. You need a talented quarterback that takes care of the football, that's able to run the rock effectively, and then that's also able to play solid defense. Because if you're going to go out there and you're going to try to put up points with Mahomes, even in a year where they had a little bit of a down year, you're not going to win. So if we can control the offense with a good athletic quarterback, good ground and pound game, physical offensive line, simple offenses like Chip Kelly has done, and that's what Kelly has done. He has learned how to perfect the simple offense and then break it down at an NFL and college football standpoint. That's what he's done. So one option is Russell Wilson and Jalen Milroe. I'd say that that's just about a perfect equation there. The next equation that I would go with, in all honesty, I know Shedeur Sanders has been a name that's been brought up a lot. I'm not somebody that wants to trade up for Shedeur. To me, you got to take Shedeur at 6. The only QB that I'm willing to trade up for is Cam Ward. Cam Ward's my favorite quarterback in this year's draft. But the more and more roster moves that this team makes just indicates to me that they're going to go with a bridge QB. But wild question there. Let's go racing! Raider! Come on, Chuck! Bang! Dude, as soon as I raise my voice, I can hear him. He goes downstairs. He runs upstairs. And he's like, all right, dude, I'm ready for this. Yo, dude, every time somebody bangs, I got you. I got you. Dude, he's such a good boy. Bottoms up to Alex and Mitch for the dedication. You think this betters our chances for Sanders? In complete honesty, I don't know if it betters your chances. There's a lot more quarterbacks now that I can go with it. And in the world, and I'm a big believer you got to have a competitive advantage, right? Whether you are, I don't know, selling shoes, making Raiders content, you own your own business. If you're cutting grass on the side, you got to have a competitive advantage. And for a team like the Raiders, one of the biggest reasons why I like Todd Monken was because of flexibility at the offensive position. I thought if Todd Monken can show that he's able to implement an offense and get it done with Lamar Jackson, and I know Lamar Jackson's an alien, but the offense that you run with Lamar Jackson compared to the offense that you run with Stetson Bennett, can we all agree? It's very different. I know it's college. I know it's NFL. But I love the idea of Monken because I go, well, if he can execute an offense with Lamar Jackson and also execute an offense with Stetson Bennett, two totally different offenses with a team that's got 10 total draft picks and the second most money in salary cap space, I like having flexibility this offseason. When you bring in Chip Kelly, you got a lot of flexibility on the offensive side of the football. And I think that almost makes you dangerous. I like the fact that I don't really know what the Raiders are going to do on offense. You know, one of the reasons why I hated Josh McDaniels so much is because I felt like I knew what he was going to do. I felt like, and all of us knew, type me down below if it was third down and long and you're going, here comes an Amir Abdullah screen. And, you know, one of the ways that I was able to predict that Aiden O'Connell was going to get drafted by the Raiders when McDaniels was there is because I knew what McDaniels wanted. I knew what he looked for. And it was Aiden O'Connell at an absolute T. So the fact that Chip Kelly can win with all these different offenses, I think it's good for the Raiders. And in a division that is stacked with offensive and head coach geniuses. And I hate the Chiefs, hate the Chargers, and I hate the Broncos. But Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and Andy Reid are all at the top of the game. Hell, you can make an argument those are the three best head coaches in the NFL. You can make an argument. You can make an argument that all four of the best head coaches in the NFL are all in the AFC West. I could do a whole show on it. You might agree with me. You might disagree. But there's going to be a little part of you that goes, I can at least make an argument on it. The fact that we can be as flexible as we want and go in all these different directions with the amount of salary cap, the amount of draft, new regime, I love that for the Raiders. Cheers to you, man. Let's go to DK. Big time hire. All the pieces are now in place to set our franchise up for the long-term success. Have to start with secondary outside of quarterback. Who do we take in the draft and free agency? Draft quarterback start next year. Again, I obviously don't have Chugs who does all of the hard work behind the scenes. So I will do my best to hit every single super chat. It looks a little bit different on my side compared to what I'm used to seeing. So again, I will do my best. If I miss your super chat on today's live show, do not be afraid to yell at me on a future show. You guys spent your hard-earned money, and the last thing that I ever want to do is make you ever feel like that you're not getting your full end. So I actually just clicked the refresh button. I'm going to answer another super chat before I get to that last one. Is that Seawood's Intercept wine? That stuff's so good. No, my favorite wine that Alex and I drink, and we only drink it for special occasions. Naomi, if you ever want to sponsor, I'm totally down. I'm not a big wine drinker, quite frankly. Like, I don't like wine. Not that I don't like wine. I know what I like in beer. I know exactly what I like in whiskey, and I'm a whiskey drinker. I'm a beer drinker, so I know what I like and how I like it, and I just know it to a T. With wine, I just don't appreciate it. So it's kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around, though I do have a little bit of a sweet tooth, and it's sweet. It's very smooth. Like when I drink a good old-fashioned, and everybody knows when you drink a good old-fashioned, it's smooth. And when I drink this Naomi wine, it's kind of got that smoothness to it. So I'm a Naomi fan. That's really the only wine I drink. Cheers to you, though. If Seawood wants to hook me up with some wine, I'm always down with some wine. All right, got another one coming in here from, let me scroll down. Daniel, Colton Miller, thoughts. Also, how do we round out the offensive line, or do we let our rocks develop? Congrats, man. Raider for life. Thank you guys very much. Again, I know I've outkicked my coverage. I'm very proud in saying that. But at the same time, you know, like she's the real MVP. And you guys know how crazy the schedule is. You guys know how crazy the Raiders are. And in the drop of a hat, everything can change. So believe me when I tell you this, I appreciate your flexibility, but you also got to understand her flexibility on the same side where today's our wedding tasting and we got a whole date night planned. So I'm going to hang out here for a little bit longer and then, I got to take care of my own. In terms of Colton Miller, I have not heard anything in a long time around Miller, and Miller is somebody that, I've talked to before. Him and I have done a wing eating contest. His younger brother told me that Colton Miller shit his pants after the wing eating contest with us. So I know that family and they are really, really good people. I also know Miller is looking for a contract extension. He's got $0 million guaranteed on his deal. He has battled some injuries, though. The conversations that I've had, and I would say October, November, were no doubt Miller wanted an extension or else he might not be on this team. Now, based on some of the conversations that I've had, indicate that he's okay playing another year on a potential non-guaranteed deal with the hope that the Raiders are going to bring him back. Because I think he knows in the back of his mind, again, this is me speculating, that the Raiders aren't going to move on from their left tackle who is as solid as what Miller is in a year that they're trying to find a brand new quarterback in the year that it makes more sense. If I'm Miller, I look at my contract this season and I go, I got 2 years left on the Raiders, 0 guaranteed. Well, if I go out there and I prove it this season and they do find a quarterback, holy shit, I'm going to make so much more money at age 31 in the final year of my deal. I also wonder if when I was being told that in October, November, if it was more of Mitch has a YouTube show and the NFL trade deadline's right around the corner, so maybe we can get his asking price up there a little bit, which, again, when I talk to people, I talk to agents, and agents want to get their clients' value up. Agents want me to talk about their people, right? Because more attention on their client means more money probably in their pocket. So maybe, I don't know if I got played the way our beat writers did in the whole Ben Johnson scenario, but this was definitely something that I was told back in October and back in November, but I would anticipate Colton Miller's around. Another one coming in from Dr. K. Doctor, thanks for being a patient. Big time hire. All the pieces are now in place to set our franchise up for the long-term success. Had to start with secondary outside of quarterback. Who do we take in the draft? Free agency drafted quarterback won't start next year. I would say it depends who that quarterback is, but it does sound like the Raiders want to kind of let that QB sit for a year, and I don't really blame them for wanting them to sit for a year. It kind of goes with the whole ideology of what Tom Brady believes and just essentially resting that quarterback. Pete Carroll has put an extra emphasis in years past on that secondary, and it's another reason why I know I was nervous about the Pete Carroll hire, but we also have to look at the plan, and this is why this offseason seems totally different for me, and why I'm just so proud of the Raiders for doing things in a smart way. Pete Carroll is known for being a secondary guru. Yes, we can all agree on that. He's always done a great job of being able to help out secondary pieces, bring in great coaches, and his secondaries, whether it's safeties, whether it's corners, have always been great. We agree on that, right? Rob Leonard and Patrick Graham have also been absolute freaking dogs on the defensive line. And when you paint a picture of how teams get it going, and NFL media is not going to say, Rob Leonard's a great keep and Patrick Graham's this. But you know what I'm going to say? When you take the mental aptitude and you take everything that Pete Carroll's done from a secondary standpoint, and you combine that with what Patrick Graham and Rob Leonard have been able to prove to you in terms of their building block materials of, we're going to get guys that Kayvon Chasen, and we're going to get guys like Charles Snowden and dudes that, have no business getting snaps on a regular basis in the NFL. And we're going to turn Kayvon Chasen, somebody who everybody thought was a washed-up product, and signs with the Raiders, and he goes out and gets 5 sacks in a year. Malcolm Koonce, people are like, this guy might get cut. Gets 8 sacks in the final 9 games. When you combine those type of good coaches with our secondary coaches, this Raiders team, I'm telling you right now, and it's the offseason, y'all control me. I mean, let's be real. Hit that like button if you're like, it's more fun being a Raider fan in February and January than it is during the regular season. But I mean this, y'all. This year feels different. And this offseason already feels different. It's like the first time I met Alex. And the first time I met Alex, I can remember being like, man, it's just different. For everybody that's out there, for everybody that's married, engaged, if you're dating somebody right now and they give you those butterfly feelings, you can just tell. You're like, it's different. And it might never turn out to be a Super Bowl title. It might never turn out to be, it might not, right? Like, I love Alex, and I think we're going to have a very happy life. We're going to make beautiful kids. Our kids are going to be stunning, by the way, especially if they have dimples. And if they have her booty and my blue eyes, look out. I'm in trouble, especially if it's a girl. But, like, you can create these ideas in your mind and you go, all right, this is going to be something beautiful. And with the way that the Raiders are putting this together this offseason, it just seems that they're doing everything smart. It just seems that they're doing everything in the right way. And you put a lot of these pieces together. I love what I've seen from the Raiders this offseason. Quite frankly, as a Raiders fan, and I know I'm a new Raider fan. I'm not afraid to admit I'm a new Raider fan since 2019. This has been the best offseason the Raiders have ever had from a front office standpoint. And I don't think that you can even disagree with it. Oh, man, what is this? Lord Cameron, chuck it up here. Abby, bang! Chuck. I think, honestly, he's like, bro, I'm good on the treats. I hear some footsteps. He's like, wait, I get another one? Come in. This is from Uncle Cameron. He said, thank you, Chip Kelly, and a loud bang. Pretty good? Yeah, I know. I thought so too. Super pumped about Chip Kelly. Great offensive mind, and I can't wait to see what he draws up. This makes me look forward to see what they do in the draft this season. Cameron, much love to you, bro. You're one of the realest ones that we got on Mount Raider More. Seriously, man. Also, shout out to Venthrak for making Mount Raider More on Thursday. Also, to anybody that saw me make a video about the Raiders hiring a linebacker coach, I apologize in advance. That was a crazy, crazy show that we did. And don't get me wrong, I had a few parents message me, and they were like, "You shouldn't make videos when you're that banged up." Let's put it the right way. Let's put it the nice way of how they said it. And I'll be real, I don't totally disagree with anybody out there that if you watch the show with your kid, and first off, I appreciate that any parent that watches this show with their kid. I can remember, growing up as a kid, my dad and I, we used to watch Smart Guy. And we love like the family values of like the old way, like TV shows used to give you like family values. You know what I'm talking about? Which I don't know how often you get that anymore. And I want this show to be a show that's about this. I'm about representing my own, and anybody that bleeds silver and black, y'all are my family, and I will go to battle for you. I'm about representing my own, which is Alex, Chuck. I love them to the end of the world and back. And you can be the greatest dad. You can be the greatest best friend that you want. But at the same time, I work really hard. And if, in my opinion, if you work hard and you can prove that you're able to get your shit done, then you can do what you want to be able to do in life. I think that's the real talk. So to the parents out there that were a little bit upset with me the other day that made some videos when I was a little bit banged up, and I get it. It's going to come with the territory, right? The more and more popular this show gets, the more views that we're going to get, the more eyeballs that we're going to get. It comes with the territory. But also know this, I want this show to be ran as if we were hanging out at your house, my house. Y'all are in my house right now. And I know you can't see the entire thing, but shit, I would love to be able to take y'all on an MTV Cribs tour of my house someday. I'll even show you my fridge. But that's how I want y'all to know me, right? I want y'all to know me that way, because you guys can get Raiders content anywhere. But I want people to know me, and I want people to rock with me, because that also helps me get to know you better, right? I can go out and I can hang out and have drinks with Zalesbo, and I hope she's here down in the chat. I can go out and hang out with, PG2869. He can give me crazy shots. I can go hang out with Jeremy, not Chubbs, but Jeremy Cole, who was an OG Raider Sport watcher, who's a Marine, who literally gave me one of his chips. And it's something I never even heard of before, but, apparently every military person has their own chip, and, they exchange chips. I thought it was one of the coolest things I've ever heard, because I've had a lot of Raiders fans give me patches in the past. I went on a long tangent of me saying this. I rock with y'all, and I'm always going to be myself. And at the end of the day, that's all I ever want people to do, is be their self. Got another one from Jose Reyes. Bang! Oh, wait, it's Joe Reyes. Sorry. That was the inner Met fan in me. When I was a kid growing up, let me know down below. I'm going to give some shout outs here, because this one's important to me. When you were a kid growing up, what was your batting stance that you did, wiffle ball? For me, when I was batting righty, which I do bat righty. It was a lot of David Wright. If I wanted to like goof around, it was a little Kevin Youkilis. But when I would bat lefty and switch, I did a lot of Jose Reyes. Big Met fan, man. Big Met fan. Oh, dude, Nab, man. Many discussions I just had in the retirement, and I have time to spare. Nab, man, congratulations, dude, on your retirement. Though I'm a little bit worried that you're retired now because I have a feeling that means bad news for me. Many discussions. All right. When he has too much, he gets flustered. Keep him in his lane and should be money. And I agree with you, Nav, man. Like, and Nav, man, tell me if you agree with this. Tell me how many Raider fans agree with this. Chip Kelly is a smart offensive mind. Yes, he is. Smart offensive mind. And I don't want people to think like, oh, because I saw a few people go, oh, it's another Josh McDaniels hire. It's not. Like, in all due respect, if you hear anybody go, oh, it's a Josh McDaniels hire, they just don't know ball. And that's how I'm going to put it. They just don't know ball. But for somebody that knows X's and O's as well as Chip Kelly knows X's and O's, and when you pair that with a great teacher and a great coach in Patrick Graham, and you pair that with a great motivational dude in Pete Carroll that has the amount of success, when the Raiders hired Pete, we had to sit here and go, what's the long-term plan? The long-term plan to me is either Chip Kelly or Patrick Graham. And like this video, if you agree with this statement, if you told me in 2 to 3 years from now, Chip Kelly's the Raiders head coach, I'm okay with it because that means everything that we've done from now until Chip Kelly worked. If you told me Patrick Graham is the Raiders head coach and Chip Kelly's just going to be the guy running plays on the offense and the head coach on offense, I'm okay with it, right? Like, to be quite frank, I can't believe that this is our coaching staff this year. I can't believe we went from Luke Getsy to Chip Kelly. I mean, that's like driving a Honda and then cashing that B in for a way, way better car. Let's just call it a Maserati. I don't even know if that's a better car. It sounds cooler to me, though. Oh, my goodness. Coming! Raider! Bang! 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 Come on, coming! Chuck, I got two. I got two on it. So I just got Chuck some new treats. I don't even know what their names are. I got them at Trader Joe's. He's obsessed with them. Dude, obsessed. Chuck, all right. So this is from Uncle Cameron. Though you can call him Common because there's nothing common about him. Can I get a quick shake? Left hand? Can I get the right hand? Right hand. Thank you very much. All right, we got one more, though, because he banged twice. Come on. People are going to think I'm just eating these myself. Nice hire. Staff looking serious this time. But I wanted to say a big thank you and a lot to Alex for being understanding and accommodating. You have quite a woman there, Mitch. Mahalo to both you and giving up some of your most valuable time, family, bro. And Common, bottom of my heart, dude. I actually just heard Alex. She's talking to her sister downstairs because, her sister's like, why are you guys home so early? And she's like, Mitch, they hired this guy. And I'm sure they hear me in the background screaming, hooting, and hollering. But I mean, this dude, and she's going to go back and she's going to see this video at some time just because, when I leave for work, I'll always put videos on in the background for Chuck just so he has something to listen to. And, dude, she's amazing. The amount of patience that it requires to have a significant other in this build, in this organization, in this, style of work. I don't know how many people out there date firefighters, or how many people date doctors, or how many people date police officers where, one of my best buddies, Mike Groomsman, he's a police officer, and it's at any moment, I got to go to work. Doctor, I got to go to work. And I know I'm not the only one that does it, but I also love this, that, it's y'all are getting to know Alex a lot better, and you can see her characteristics and why I love her, because in life, you need someone that's not selfish, that understands the greater good for us. Like, and she understands where it's like, Raiders hired Chip Kelly, and she might not know who Chip Kelly is, but she can see me and see how like excited and fired up I am. And that's all you can ask for, right? Is a partner that supports you and is there for you, through hell and back. And that's why I love Raiders, because the Raiders to me are the exact same way. And not the Raiders team, y'all. Like, the nation to me is the, I always say, like, my best friend growing up, and I've known him since I was 1 year old. It's also one of the reasons why I'm a big Raider fan. He's the only guy in my hometown that grew up a Raiders fan. And he was just one of the most ride or die guys that I've ever known. His name's Ross. And you guys will see some photos of him when I get married. But like, to him, like when him and I would hang out, he would just talk to me about being a Raider. And at the time, I didn't really understand what the hell it was. He's also a Notre Dame fan. So I was like, man, I'm a Penn State guy. But at the same time, it was all about like, you ride and die for your people. And it was always, you don't have to be blood to be family. And I think that is a big, big thing that Raider fans have always taught me, where, you don't got to be blood to be family. You got to show up for each other in common. Long story short, man, I appreciate the hell out of you, dude. Let me go through some more of these supers, and I'm not going to lie to y'all, and you guys can probably tell, Alex and I have, we've been at this whole wedding dinner thing for quite some time already. You're the bomb, brother, from Johnny Bull Run. Is that your real last name? If that's your real last name, I'd love to see that on the back of a jersey. Can we trade for Geno Smith or Stafford? I hear the Rams may not want to sign him. Would be an insane pickup. Love Luka to the Lakers. First off, being down here in Dallas, there was like late last night, I'm not kidding you, the amount of people that were outside of that arena late last night at like 1 or 2 in the morning was insane. The amount of people that were walking around today. I went for a jog in the middle of the day, like earlier on today. Dude, I saw so many Lakers jerseys out and about, and I was like, I kind of respect it. I mean, I really do. And I'm a big LeBron fan. I'm not afraid to admit it, where I loved Kobe, loved Michael, and I'm not saying LeBron's better than either of those guys, but I'm a big LeBron fan. Somebody that is at the peak of their athletic ability, playing in the 22nd season, somebody who doesn't take days off. Like, you see a lot of these other guys taking days off. And to me, he's just somebody that goes out there and loves ball, but also is a great family man. And quite frankly, I don't even know how people don't like LeBron James because of everything that he's done for his community. You might not like some of his political takes. It is what it is. I'm not even going to get into that. But in today's day and age in sports, right, like, how can somebody be like, Mitch, we should go out and get Tyreek Hill, but hate LeBron James? I'm like, Tyreek Hill's got domestic violence issues in the back. And then LeBron James has been a solid stand-up citizen who's literally paid for thousands of kids to go to school and have done all this amazing stuff in his community. Bottom line is this. I've always been a LeBron fan, and I root for LeBron James. I'm not afraid to admit it. So the fact that Luke is going there, I'm excited to see how that goes. But living down here in Dallas where I do, I also like when the Mavericks are good because it just makes the city more fun. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, basketball-wise, I don't give a shit. Like, I grew up watching the Knicks a little bit, and, I grew up watching the Knicks. My dad's a Sixers fan, actually, because of Dr. J. But, like, I'm telling you this, if I were to move to Portland, I'd root for the Trailblazers. If I were to move to Memphis, which I'm never going to move to Memphis, I'd root for the Grizzlies. If I would move to Oklahoma City, I'd root for the Thunder, because when you're in those cities and those teams play well, it just makes the entire city so much better. When the Stars went to the Stanley Cup, loved it. Was all about that. When the Mavs last season, loved it. When the Rangers were in the World Series, loved it. And at that time, I rooted for those teams, no doubt about it. But at the same time, it's not even close to being a Raiders fan. It's not even close. But I'm glad that you're excited that Luke is going to the Lakers. And the Lakers clearly won this trade, right? Like, I was listening to people today trying to convince me. They're like, oh, no, it's a fair trade. Fair trade? I got $20. I'll exchange it to you for $100. You let me know. In terms of Geno or Stafford, I think Geno's the more likely answer there. Stafford, I know there's a lot of rumors around Stafford, but in terms of like his contract, and this is what I talk about when I talk about Stafford, you got to talk about the contract. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the Rams to move on from him this season. I mean, they eat a shit ton of money, maybe like $40, $50 million or $30 million or something like that to trade Stafford, where he's got $0 million guaranteed in 2026. To me, the Stafford trade, if it happens next offseason. It doesn't happen this offseason. If it does happen this offseason, if you told me right now we get Stafford, I would love that move. I mean, to me, he's a top 10 QB. You put Stafford in a Chip Kelly style of offense with a head coach like Pete Carroll, I think the Raiders win 9 games. And I don't need to know anything else. I'm not kidding you. And I don't need to know anything else. That's a 9-win football team. If we add a few extra pieces, who knows? Maybe we get to 10, maybe we get to 11 wins. I don't know what it looks like. But right now, we are a quarterback away from really getting the ball moving. And this is a QB-driven league. You could have all the right pieces around you. But if you don't have a QB, you're not going to win. It's how it is, right? You could be the best race car driver on the planet. If you don't have a good engine in that car, you ain't winning many races. Let's go to some more super chats that I see here. Derek Mitchell. Last year, a month before the draft, you said no way when I mentioned Penix top 15. So Dart top 10, I'm saying. I'll say this. I don't know if I said no way in Penix top 15 to the Raiders. I know I was very passionate about Penix no way to the Raiders in top 15. And I actually think this, if Penix would have been there to the Raiders at 13, I don't know if they would have taken him. Like, I know they were very high on Brock Bowers. And now I know that. I did not know that at the time that they were as high on Bowers as what they were. But at the same time, I just didn't think that they loved Penix. We'll see on Dart. I don't want the Raiders to take Dart, though, top 10. Like, if you're a Raiders organization and you're like, man, we got to take Dart in round 1, trade back. Figure out a way, trade back. Or you take best player available at number 6. And then when you get to a point in the first round, I don't know where it is, you take that extra third-round pick that you got from Devontae Adams. You take that third, you take that second, and then you start calling teams and you go, what can I get? What can I do? And you take that third, you take that second, and maybe you get up to like pick 24. You take Jackson Dart there, and then you still have that third-round pick that you also had, originally out of the Devontae trade. Again, I don't love that option, because Dart, to me, is a very intriguing prospect. But I've watched even more Dart tape this weekend, and there's sometimes like he just makes such good throws. But I was watching the Georgia tape, right? So I went back and I watched some of the Georgia tape, and he's missing guys, like easy throws in the NFL that just need to be made, and he was just missing them left and right. But when he was cool, calm, and collected, and like I'm going to say this, and I hope that I don't, retrace my steps when I say this. But if you were an organization that wanted Jackson Dart, you go out and you hire Chip Kelly. I think the style of offense that Chip Kelly ran, not saying it's exactly what he ran at Ole Miss, but it was a very simple college football style of offense that was predicated on first read, second read, use your athletic ability, a lot of tight end streaks up the middle at Ole Miss. I'm just Chip Kelly and Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart with Chip Kelly way more than any other OC probably the Raiders could have hired. And that's being the truth. Like Darrell Bevell, if the Raiders would have hired Darrell Bevell and they would have paired Bevell with Jackson Dart, disaster. You put Jackson Dart with Chip Kelly, and I would almost make the comparison of what I did last season where I don't love Jackson Dart as a quarterback prospect, but Jackson Dart and Chip Kelly, I can rally around that. I can wrap my mind around Dart being able to execute that offense and the Raiders putting the right staff in place to be able to execute that offense at the most highest ability. It's why I like Bo Nix going to Sean Payton and the Broncos, because that's an offensive structure that makes a lot of sense. Though, it's going to be interesting, man. No doubt about it. Oh, my goodness. Steve L., the Golden Bachelor. Bang! What's up, my man? Steve. Dude. Steve, I'm not kidding you. Do you hear Chuck as soon as I bang? The Golden Bachelor. Steve, I want you to do this. You got to apply for the Golden Bachelor. And if you do, you got to tell me because I'm going to try to get you on that show. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we're going to get you on that show, Steve. Cheers to you, man. I'm excited for the season too, dude. I am. I can't wait. Like, it's only February. It's February 2nd. It's Groundhog's Day. Punxsutawney Phil. Did he see his shadow or not? I have no idea. Has anybody actually ever seen Punxsutawney? Has anybody ever seen Phil? For those that don't know, Punxsutawney is a place, right? Like, that would be like Los Angeles, Phil. So again, I grew up in Central PA. Punxsutawney, like the only thing in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, is that flipping groundhog. And those people tailgate, pregame, they go wild to see if a groundhog's going to see his shadow with the amount of light that they got shining down on that guy. Dude's an absolute legend. Evil Mitch, with the staff hired, grade the Carroll hire after a C. A. I said before that Pete Carroll, when the Raiders hired him, it's a C. And I said that because for anybody that's given it an A, a B, even a D and an F, respectfully, I think they're unfair grades because you're bringing in Pete, and you can't just look at the Pete hire. You got to look at who they bring in at DC, who they bring in at OC, but then you also got to look at the longevity of those candidates that they brought in because Father Time's undefeated, and I know Pete Carroll's the youngest 73-year-old maybe that I've ever seen in my entire life outside of my own grandmother. But, like, there has to be a long-term plan there. And I hope that everybody sitting here right now can sit here and paint a picture in their mind of going, if Pete Carroll works, right? If Pete Carroll works, you're going to probably hire somebody from within your regime. I can wrap my mind around Chip Kelly being the head coach of the Raiders, learning underneath Pete Carroll for 3 seasons, and then getting the keys to that car. I can wrap my mind around Patrick Graham getting the keys to this car after 3 seasons, learning underneath Pete Carroll and going, all right, this got some long-term stability to it. Stability, it's a very, very key word. But you have to think about that long-term picture. And now it's put together great. This staff by the Raiders is phenomenal. And I still want to see who the quarterback coach is. I still want to see, a few of these little odds and ends. But Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll, and Patrick Graham, I don't know if you're a Raiders fan, if you could have asked for a better off season. And that's coming from somebody who wanted Ben Johnson, right? Shit, dude, this is I'm ashamed to even admit this, but I got a BJ in Vegas Raiders jersey like a month ago. As soon as the rumors started going, I was like, shit, I'm going to get a BJ in Vegas jersey. Worst case scenario, BJ in Vegas jersey, right? You're like, I can wear that jersey around Vegas still, no doubt about it. And I got that jersey because, everybody here, we were all excited about the opportunity of going out and, potentially getting somebody like Ben Johnson. So now, with this regime, I don't know if this staff – I don't know if Ben Johnson could have put together a better staff. Like, quite frankly, if you want a team where it's everybody has a say, this is a great, great staff. Because the risk with hiring Ben Johnson was what Ben says goes. And what Ben says goes has burned us in the past with McDaniels and John Gruden. But we were hoping to be able to get through it with somebody like Johnson. And then, here Liam Cohen No, I've never been more out on Liam Cohen after hearing that. This is a really, really good offseason for the Raiders. So I'm going to give it an A. I mean that. And I am a tough grader. And I'm not somebody who's going to sit up here and paint you pictures of butterflies, rainbows, and cupcakes. If I don't like something, not afraid to tell you. And this is one that I like a lot. He's so gentle. He's so sweet. All right, what do we got here? Let's go through some soups. Still got a few more. Steve, I got you. I see Jersey Boy. Maybe with Chip being here, this can guarantee the Raiders Jeremiah Smith in a year or two. Quite frankly, I hope that it doesn't. And I think Jeremiah Smith is Julio Jones. And I mean that. I think when I watched Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver out of Ohio State, he reminds me of Julio Jones. He's 6'3", he's 220, he's 225, and you can call it the perfect defensive play sometimes, and it just doesn't matter because you can't cover Julio Jones in his prime. Jeremiah Smith is going to be a top 5 pick, right? Like, he's going to be a top 5 pick. And if you don't know who Jeremiah Smith is, he's the young receiver from Ohio State. He's an athletic specimen. He's unbelievable. And I say that I hope that the Raiders can't get him because I hope we're not picking in the top 5. If we have the opportunity to get Jeremiah Smith, it means this regime that we have has been a disaster. And that's just the fact of it, where incredible player, but I kind of hope we don't get him because I want us to be a good football team. And when he comes out, he no doubt is going to be solid. Wow, we got the contract details here for Chip Kelly. This is a big, big deal. Highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. Chip Kelly is the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. That's how they were able to get him. So this just came in, $6 million per year. Wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. And for anybody out there that's saying Mark Davis is cash poor, listen to this. The Raiders told candidates during their search that they were making a serious commitment with an infusion of cash from their new owners. Here it is. Chip Kelly lured to Vegas with a deal averaging $6 million per year. Highest paid NFL OC in the National Football League. Money talks, y'all. Chip Kelly wanted to come to the NFL. The Raiders anteed up. They said, I'm going to pay that man. And they did, man. They went out there, they paid him, and I absolutely love it. Like, this is also one of the things, and I know a lot of times I say, I talked about this before. But again, like I do talk just about a lot of random shit when we go live. I mean, shit, I was live for 26 hours straight one day. We're going to talk about a lot of random stuff in that 26-hour live stream, right? But one of the things that I said was when you go out, and I was told that the Raiders are going to try to build an ownership group like the Dodgers have, where if you bring in so many people that have just all this money, then just there's money to use, right? And you're going to make more money in the long haul by spending more up front. And Mark has been able to go out there and get some business people. You got to get a guy like Tom Brady, and Mark now has got a little bit more cash in his pocket. And I always wonder, like, are you able to get a hire like Chip Kelly if you don't have that type of money? Because I'll always love Oakland, right? I mean, I got a tattoo on my leg. Oakland's what made me a Raider fan. But moving to Vegas is one of those moves where it's the best long-term move. You know, we've talked about stability for a Raiders team for a long time. Vegas is stability, and it's the truth, right? I mean, which is maybe the only term that Vegas and stability has ever been in the same sentence. But for the Raiders, I mean, there is. The Super Bowls are going to be coming to Vegas. You know, Pro Bowls, Vegas. College football games, Vegas. Like, the amount of money Mark's going to be able to make, we're going to be able to do a lot more deals like this. So the fact that we're just able to go out and get Chip Kelly, $6 million per year, highest paid OC in the league. Dude, we're doing smart things. Finally, man. Finally. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stay live for another 10 minutes, okay? First, I want to get to 1,000 likes. If we can get to 1,000 likes, I'm finishing my wine. And then that'll put me in a good spot for date night a little bit later on tonight. But I'm going to answer questions for 10 more minutes. And then once we get to 10 minutes after that, if the supers keep flowing, I'm going to stay live, okay? But the supers got to keep flowing, or else from me to you, I got to go pay attention to Alex, and we got to keep our night going. Which free agent quarterback would make the most sense with Chip Kelly? You look great, by the way, my guy. Thanks. I actually just got a haircut yesterday. I got my Mizzen and Main shirt on. I got my Fossil watch. So one of my groomsmen, his name's Dave. Shout out to Dave. He was my catcher on my baseball team. And Dave's that friend that you have in your group that is the nicest human being that you could ever imagine. And you could ask him to do anything, and he would do it in a heartbeat. And in college, I actually used to get mad at him. I go, Dave, people take advantage of you because you're too nice. Like, you can say no once in a while. It's okay. But just nicest human being ever. So Dave, he got us this watch, all the groomsmen for his wedding. So a lot of like the wedding stuff that I do, I wear this watch. my buddy got me pants for a wedding, so I wear the pants. The Miz and a Main shirt is a Miz and a Main shirt that I got through work. Socks that I have on are my groomsmen socks from one of my best man's weddings, and like I'm not gonna lie to y'all, like I'm a sentimental guy, and when I go through the biggest moments of my life, I want my most important people in the smallest ways there, with me, because you can't get through anything in life without help. And whether it's a death, whether it's a wedding, whether it's an engagement, whether it's the birth of a child, you have all of those experiences and you have family to support you. And I've been blessed with a beautiful family of my dad. He's the oldest of 6. My mom's the youngest of 9. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and everybody knows everybody, right? Like my family, if you showed up to a Renz, my mom's maiden name is McCormick, like family reunion, you're going to meet 400 people. And you might roll your eyes at that statement. You're going to meet 400 people. like, I'm not kidding you. Like, I've been talking sports my entire life, because if you don't talk, nobody's going to listen to you. Nobody's going to pay attention to you. And I think when you think about a lot of these things, LC, I appreciate that. In terms of the best quarterback, again, I'm going to just get off tangent here, and that's going to happen from time to time. I would say best free agent quarterback, again, just depends on what the plan is. I think it's either Russell Wilson if you get him on a little bit of a cheap contract, and people don't like the name Russ because he's a weirdo, he's a cornball. But if you take away the name Russell Wilson and you say, hey, this NFL quarterback played at $1.2 million to help his team have a better chance to win, everybody would tip their cap to that guy. And I'll tip my cap to Russell Wilson for what he did last season. But I would say Wilson with Jalen Milroe. I would say, Sam Darnold maybe with a pairing. If you wanted to spend more on Sam and then not draft a QB because you don't like any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft and plan to get a QB in 2026, roll with Aiden O'Connell. I'm okay with that idea. It just it totally depends on what your long-term plan is, because it can't just be, I want to sign this guy for this year. Then you didn't hire the right head coach. Whoever you sign in free agency, there has to be a long-term plan. Has to be a long-term plan. All right, man, we got a few more here that I've skipped over. And again, I'm doing my best here to catch up on all y'all. I just saw David Zahn in the chat. Zahn, I love you. Brandon Jasper, dude, I just got you something sick. It's, I know you're a musician fan, and check your mail. And for anybody in Mount Raidermore that wants to know what I got Brandon Jasper, you message me independently. I'm going to tell you what it is, and y'all are going to be like, dude, that's unbelievable. Brandon, I can't wait to see your reaction, dude. I love you. I'm always here for you. Mount Raidermore, the nation's always here for you too, man. Anthony, Chip was a nightmare in Philly. He was a nightmare in Philly. He was a bad head coach. And I think when you think about everything that was bad about Chip, you pair Chip with somebody that's like Pete. And if you're able to combine those two guys, like if you told me right now I could combine the perfect offensive head coach in the NFL, I would put Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly together, or just morph them into one. Because you got the X's and O's standpoint from Chip, and you have just the people side of it from Pete. And that's what it takes. Like, you can be the smartest guy in the room, and that's okay. Being the smartest guy in the room is not a bad thing. But people can't know that you're the smartest guy in the room. That's Chip's problem. That was Josh McDaniels' problem. And Pete's one of those dudes where he can be, the jokester and say, all right, Chip, you're the smartest guy in here. You can go F yourself, but then also kind of like nudge, like show you some love. And then it creates that better environment in the group. And I don't know Chip Kelly well. Like, I'm not sitting up here saying I know Chip. I don't know people that know Chip. I don't want to come off like that. But when you hear the communication around why Chip Kelly failed, it's because he was a bad people's person. Pete Carroll ain't a bad people's person. He's the perfect people's person. And the marriage between those two, it's going to work. Anthony Gardner, he was horrible in Philly. Horrible as a head coach. Think of it as the whole picture. That's all I want people to do. Paint the picture. If you're still sitting here going that I don't think somebody with Chip Kelly's X's and O's knowledge can pair well with Pete Carroll, maybe. And you might be right. Quite frankly, you might be right. And quite frankly, betting against the Raiders is probably the smarter thing to do. Right? I'm not afraid to say that. I love the Raiders. Y'all love the Raiders. But at the same time, like, if you told me right now, do I want to bet on the Raiders being a playoff caliber team or not being a playoff caliber team. If it was life or death, probably going to bet on the Raiders not being a playoff caliber team. And we can have the mindset of it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And that's fine. You can have that mindset. But when something good happens, like, and I encourage every Raider fan to do this, and I hope this is why people watch this show, because I'm not afraid to toe the line of, I can make a whole video on why every reason why Chip Kelly's the worst hire the Raiders could have gone with. I can also make a video on why it's a great hire by the Raiders. And what I want people to do, and I want people to do this in life as well, pros and cons, checks and balances, why it's good, why it's bad. Sit down, do it. Why it's good, why it's bad. And after a year we just had, I'm going to paint that picture of why I think it's good. And that's just me being real. I'm going to paint the picture of why I think it's good, because I also do think it's going to be a good hire. What up, Johnny? What's up, Mitch? With the Kelly move, would you go back to – who would you go back-to-back and get both Ohio State backs? I wouldn't go back-to-back. I think both Trevion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins are very solid backs, no doubt about it. But at the same time, Trevion Henderson's the back you want. Like, if I was Las Vegas, and I hope that he's available to you in the third round, he was somebody that, well, all right, spoiler alert, I got a mock draft going out tomorrow. You're going to see Trevion Henderson go in that mock. And that's the running back that I think, to me, is the better back in the NFL, right? Where he's just the clear-cut runner, fits the scheme a little bit better, where Quinshon Judkins is a little bit more of that thumper. And the thumper, to me, in the NFL is easier to find than the one cut, especially in a zone gap read, which I think the Raiders are going to try to run with Pete Carroll. You need that back where when he puts his foot in the grass at any moment, he can go north and south and he can cut it up. Like, you kind of like patient, see the hole explode. You go through it. Zamir White didn't have that ability. Alexander Madison didn't have that ability. And, quite frankly, the running backs that we brought in for the offensive line scheme that we did in the offense overall was just a bad fit. If we're going to run the offense that I think the Raiders are going to run, Trevion Henderson's the better running back. Though Quinshon Judkins will have a role in the NFL. I don't know what that role is going to be. He kind of reminds me of trying to think of a running back that's not going to wow you, but can be a thumper. And I'm trying to think of a good name. Honestly, the first name that comes to my mind is a running back from the Patriots, and I can't even think of his name. Because when they had the Sony Michel, I think they had another guy. It's not Jonas Gray. I can't think of his name. But more of just a thumper in the middle of the backfield. I don't know. That's how I would put it. Still a good back, though. What type of offense will we run? Let's go Raiders from U.S. Marine. You're probably going to run a very simple yet complex college offense where I think it's going to be a lot of first read. I think it's going to be a lot of spreading your team out a little bit, using a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of, in a Chip Kelly offense, you got to be able to execute a system. And that's what it comes down to. If you can't execute the system, it's not going to be effective. But also a lot of Chip Kelly offenses are based on pre-snap, a lot of motion, a lot of shifting, being able to run the football too, and being able to be in a athletic offensive line. Kelly loved athletic offensive lines. And, I go back and I think of what are our building blocks on offense right now for the Raiders? Let's be real. The building blocks on offense right now for the Raiders, Brock Bowers, JPJ. Brock Bowers and JPJ are the perfect fit for what Chip Kelly wants to do. And Bowers probably perfect for almost any NFL offense. JPJ is probably a perfect fit in almost any NFL offense. But in terms of those building block materials of what the simplest form is of the Chip Kelly offense, it is a huge utilization of tight ends, and it's a huge utilization of having athletic, powerful linemen. And that's what those guys are. And, you can overlook it, and I could sit up here and I could tell you that they're going to try to do X, Y, Z. And also you need to have wide receivers that can block. Chip Kelly is the type of offense where people didn't love it back in Philadelphia because it required everybody to do their job. And, sometimes in the NFL, guys just want to be, they want to get paid and they want to do their own thing, right? Chip Kelly's offense with a wide receiver with the mentality of Devontae Adams might not work great. Devontae didn't want to go out there and block. He didn't want to do that part of his job. I get it. It's Devontae Adams. When you have a receiver like Jacoby Myers who's humble enough that can sit there and go, I'm going to do my job, whether it's catching a football, whether it's laying a pancake block, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do it. Those are the type of players you need with the Chip Kelly. Trey Tucker has all the athletic ability in the world. Trey Tucker also was a phenomenal high school wrestler who loves to block. And when you watch Trey Tucker block in the NFL, and I mean this for all those young, undersized receivers out there in the league, if you're a parent and your kid's young and he's an undersized receiver and he's like, I don't know if I'll make it in the NFL, show him Trey Tucker tape. I get it. Not every kid out there is going to be able to run a 4.3, but watch how Trey Tucker blocks. That guy loves to block. And when you have that type of mentality for some of those players, that's how Chip Kelly's offense works. Do your job. And if you do your job, you're going to be able to execute. Pete Carroll is all about doing your job. All right, we got Conscience trade for DTR with Kelly and UCLA and draft Howard. We've come too far and we've had too many good off-season moves to trade for Dorian Thompson-Robinson and draft Will Howard. If we went through a season like we just went through and that was our answer to quarterback, I don't know what I would do, man. I don't know what I would do. Yo, we are 40 likes away from 1,000. Ron Raspberry. Let's go, my man. What's up, Ron? Good to see you, dude. U.S. Marine, I think I answered that one. I'm going to keep scrolling down here. I got top beats. Mitch, do you think that there is any possibility that Spytek goes after Matthew Stafford? Everyone thinks Wilson, but I doubt that's the direction they will go. If I was a betting man, I would say Russell Wilson has the best chances to be the Raiders starting quarterback next season. And that's not even high chances, right? I would say out of the realm of 100%, let's paint this picture here. In the realm of 100%, 1,000 likes. Ron, dude, you're a freaking menace, dude. In the realm of, what was I saying? Oh, direction. That cap's on. That's embarrassing. Y'all, how many people saw that? That was bad, huh? Mayomi. We've all poured wine with the top on. Let's not be ridiculous here. With Stafford, again, it's the contract why I don't think that it makes a lot of sense to go. But if I was to build a picture, right, of 100% of what I think is the most likely, I would say Russell Wilson at 25% is the most likely option for the Raiders quarterback. I do. I think it's the most likely option. I would say then the 20% could be Sam Darnold, right? A 15% could be Geno Smith. 10% chance, let's say, is Matt Stafford, though I think Stafford be at the 2%, where I maybe this is a video I got to do where we're going to figure out who the Raiders quarterback is based on percentages. And I think a lot of times when I say, oh, there's a 25% chance that Russell Wilson can be the QB, people go, that's it. So you don't think he's going to be the QB? I mean, at this moment, that's the highest percentage that I can give. There's just so many different ways the Raiders can go. But that's, again, another reason why you should like the Chip Kelly hire, because you have the second most money in salary cap space, 10 draft picks, brand new regime. You can go so many different ways. And the fact that you can go in so many different ways is good for an organization. It's good. Because last season, think about it. We were kind of like, it's Jaden Daniels or bust. And it busted. The year before, right? We were kind of all in on McDaniels got to find his quarterback. Bust. But sometimes guys got to find that exact fit for them. This offseason, we've been able to find that we're going to have a little bit more flexibility, and having a little bit more flexibility isn't a bad thing. All right, y'all. Mitch definitely shacking up with Chuck tonight from Dank Dank. Here's the thing, Dank Dank. Chuck and I, we snuggle every night. I am not afraid to tell you this. I take a lot of pride in being the best damn dog dad that I can possibly be. And I think anything that you do in life, whether you're a dog dad, whether you're a real dad, whether you're a Raider Sport host, when you show up, be the best damn whatever. you can possibly be. And if you do that, you're going to have success in life. Your kids are going to love you. Your dog's going to love you. Your wife's going to love you. And I think that I've been able to accomplish a lot of the things that I've been able to accomplish in life. And I'm not saying I'm successful. I'm very proud of where the Raiders Report has started. And I'm very proud of the man that, I've become in the 7 years that I've worked here doing this show. Because, I've learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about y'all. But at the end of the day, people need people that show up. I show up. And Chuck and I, man, when we snuggle in that bed tonight, here's one thing I know. None of y'all love me as much as that dog does. Nobody does. And until y'all pee on the floor in excitement when you see me, that tail wag that I get when I come home, licks on the face, there is nobody in this chat that loves me as much as that dog does. And I know that. I do. And Chuck's my guy, man. Chuck's my guy. Holy fuck, dude. Wow. Chuck! Jason Garcia! First time super chat. Are you shitting me? Bang! Dude! Chuck! A 250. I think you're getting too used to these bangs, quite frankly. I think mom's telling you, hey, get up there a little bit. What's up with all these, dude? Jason. First off, not many people look better than me than a tie. You do. You deserve a break from all your contributions to Raider Nation. Alex deserves the best of your support, just as she gives you hers. Enjoy Raider Nation from life, man. Jason, that's very sweet, man. Seriously, there's so many times when I see people do the shit that y'all do on a normal basis, and that's a $250 super chat. $250. Think about that for everybody watching right now. People don't do that unless there is a genuine Jason, if you ever see me in person, I'm buying the first 3 rounds, okay? I mean it. Like, you guys do all this crazy shit for me, but it's also why I do what I do, right? Like, I wouldn't do the crazy shit that I do, and I wouldn't be as consistent as I was. Don't get me wrong. I would still be insane because I'm a believer if you put good energy in the world, you work hard, things are going to happen your way. I'm not the smartest guy, and y'all already know that, right? Like, I just tried to pour wine with a cap on. But quite frankly, nobody's going to outwork me. And I think if you have that mentality in life, like, you're going to be a very successful person. And when people do the shit that people do on this channel on a normal basis, this job can be very unforgiving in the beginning, okay? And to any young content creator out there, make content. Make content makes you happy. Make content that is your own therapy session, because that's what I did. And this show is a big therapy session for me, but I mean that because, people are dealing with all their own stuff all the time. And the fact that somebody feels like that they can send a $250 super chat on a stream like this, where we don't have the crazy graphics, I can't show your super chat on show. Like, this is just y'all just hanging out with me at my home. Oh my God, another big NBA trade. De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs for Zach LaVine. What? Dude, what is happening in the NBA right now? De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs for Zach LaVine. But Jason, let me buy some drinks, and I mean this to anybody that watches this show. If you see me in person, you better let me buy the first round or 2. And if you give me a hard time about it, I'm just going to buy the third, because it's one of the easiest ways that I can say thank you. There's not enough ways that I can say thank you half the time for a lot of the stuff that you do. But Jason, for your first super chat being that, and for it being on today and everything else that went in today for me, that means a lot to me, man. It does. Like, I'm a normal person just like you, where imagine you're out with dinner with your soon-to-be wife, and you go, the Raiders just hired Chip Kelly. I got to go. And it's a wild thing. It's a wild thing. Jason, you're making me sentimental, man. Cheers to you, Jason. All right, y'all. What do we got? So here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, Jason, he did it, man. Nabman said, "Screw top of the wine." What is it? Mad Dog. I'll tell you this right now. Love Mad Dog. Never had Mad Dog until I went to college, and so again, growing up as a kid, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, central Pennsylvania. Mad Dog, I don't know if it existed. When I went and played college baseball in New Jersey, we had a lot of kids from Jersey City. I had some kids, from different parts of areas that, quite frankly, I wasn't used to. And Mad Dog was very popular in the, let's just call it, in the non-white community, right? Like, quite frankly, growing up as a kid, never remembered Mad Dog. And I don't, I'm not afraid to admit it. Like, never seen Mad Dog. Like, never had really tequila until I came down here and met Alex, where now, I drink tequila, and you guys see it. Like, it kicks the shit out of me. But, Mad Dog, few of my teammates, and, I was one of our better players on our college team. And, they were always, trying to be nice. And I take a lot of pride in being able to say, I didn't care if you were black, white, Mexican, Chinese, if you played lacrosse, soccer. I was friends with every single player, every single person at our college campus. And I could go to all the college parties that I wanted. And Mad Dog was something that we drank very, very often. Dude, Mad Dog 2020. The amount of Mad Dog I had in college, that and Four Loko, Colt 45 Blast, there was a lot, man. There was a lot there. Raider Man, Mitch, what's the difference between Milroe learning behind Wilson and Dart learning behind him? Just win, baby. I think it's from Raider Man. I like this question a lot. To me, it's the upside. Jalen Milroe, to me, is a 2-year project, where Jackson Dart might also be a 2-year project. And the reason why that I say it is because I don't know if Dart's going to be able to learn as easily underneath somebody like Wilson compared to Jalen Milroe. Just because, the style of quarterback is a lot different, where I do think Wilson and Milroe are a lot similar of a quarterback structure. Not that their skill set is the same now, but it's the mentality of them coming out of college, where Milroe, to me, with Nick Saban, was clearly much better. When he lost Saban, he just lost his structure, and he's somebody that needs structure. Milroe, to me, needs structure. And for the Raiders, they look like a team right now that's trying to do everything in their power to build structure. And Wilson also is great at structure. He might not have the talent that somebody like Milroe does, but when you see the fall off of Milroe from the last season compared to this past year, the number one thing that I look at is structure. And losing Nick Saban hurts structure. I don't care who you are. It hurts structure. So that's why I like Milroe a little bit more. Who's the quarterback? Chip. He prefers scrambling quarterback from Rob. Justin Fields is an interesting guy to at least keep an eye on. I think I answered that one from Top Beats. Got that one from Raider Man. How about Genty with the first? We need to run the rock. We do need to run the rock, but at the same time, we got to invest in the offensive line. Before I say draft Genty, we better go out and spend a lot in free agency. There's also a lot of really, really talented backs in this year's draft. If you told me right now, the Raiders got Will Johnson, let's say Wyatt Millum, who I think could be an outstanding left guard for the Raiders, and then Trevion Henderson, or Ashton Genty, Wyatt Millum, and then, I don't know, some third-round corner, I think I like the first one more, because to me, running backs in the NFL are great when they're in systems. When they're in a system that works, that running back's going to be really talented. Yes, you still have to be a talented back, but you could put Ashton Genty on who's a phenomenal running back, right? Even the comparison I give, and I don't think Jacobs and Genty are the same back. I actually think Genty's more talented than Jacobs when they first coming out of college. But look at Jacobs on the Raiders last season. There's 8-man boxes. And he wasn't very good because he wasn't in the right system / there wasn't the right offensive line. Nothing was there. Teams that draft a running back in round 1, you better be a running back away from competing. And just with all the other holes that the Raiders have, I wouldn't be mad if they drafted Genty. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't be mad. But I could sit here and go, I don't know if it was the pick that I would go with. Oh, man. When did this happen? Hardegree! Bang! Chuck! I heard his, when he gets up, he shakes his ears. Steps. I actually love the fact he's getting this right now. You're so handsome. You want to say hi to anyone? Though, picking up tonight's not going to be great. It's not going to be great. What up, Venthrak? Send some love to Alex for letting you have this time. Love you both. Venthrak. Yo, real quick, can we spam some Venthraks down below? Our newest member of Mount Raidermore, the man that has banged more in 2025 than anyone, and it's not close. It's not close, quite frank. I actually think this, if you were to add everybody else's bangs, put them together in one, Venthrak is close to being, I don't think he's beating him, but he's close to being able to beat him. You guys want to hear something wild about Venthrak? In the year of 2025, he's around 65 bangs. 65 bangs! Are you shitting me? I mean, Venthrak, when he watches this show, he's probably got to wear a condom. Like, Venthrak's like, all right, I'm about to turn on the Raiders report. He's just sitting there, normal clothes, jeans on, got a sweatshirt on, rocking a condom. I mean, it's the craziest shit I've ever seen. Venthrak, dude, wild stuff, man. What was Venthrak's question? There's no question at all. Oh my God, when the fuck did this happen? No, man! Bang! Chuck needs a treat now. Chuck! I love Alex every time she goes, go to dad. What's funny because, like, Chuck knows, like, I call Alex mom. Alex calls me dad. So, even, like, one of my favorite things that Chuck does, Alex's mom, we call her grandma. So when grandma's around, it was like, grandma, he's like, what's going on? Chuck, come on. What else do you got in your mouth? Come here. Can I get that? No, you gotta give me that. That's a bone. Also, we got him these, like, have you guys ever heard, like, yak chews? It's like some sort of cheese. He's obsessed with them. I was like, he just walked into here with one of these bad boys. All right, I'm going to hand you this. Hey. Okay. I'll see you later. Nah, man, real one. Now get your ass out of here. Take care of Alex. Without Alex and Chuck, you are not you. We got you sitting here willing with you, but you got to go and be with your future wife, best friend for 31 years. She's everything. Nah, man, she's a rock star, you know, like, and I hope everybody that's watching this show right now, you get somebody in your life that is got your back, you know, through hell and back. And, like, it might not work the first time. Like, you know, maybe this is a good opportunity where, you know, Alex and I, like, the first time we met, I met her on Bumble, and her and I, like, timing's everything in life. And I was trying to really make my career at Chat Sports, and I made everything, like, I'm busy now. Don't get me wrong. I was way busier back then. And, you know, I put a lot of concentration on the Raiders, put a lot of concentrate on the show and everything that went involved with it. But she always stand by my side, man. Like, she was always rocking with me. And I think this is a good sign-off period here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get the hell out of here. Chip Kelly, welcome to the nation. I'm going to go grab some drinks. Alex and I got some more plans. Again, we're about 2 hours late. It is what it is. We had to reschedule some stuff. But, nah, man, you're right, dude. Like, and, nah, man, you and I, we've been able to meet in person. We've been able to talk. You honestly remind me a lot of my dad, which I hope that you don't take offense to that. And not that you should. Like, my dad's my best friend. And like, your thought process where you're a tough dude. Like, I've met Nabman. Nabman is, for anybody in the chat right now, you don't want to cross paths with Nabman. Like, that's one of those like trained Marine guys. And again, I love the vets out there, but that guy would tie you into an absolute pretzel before you even knew what the hell happened to you. But at the same time, super sweet guy. Like, he's a softy. And Nabman, you know I love you. And you're a softy. And everybody watching that actually knows Nabman, he's a freaking softy. But at the same time, that's a tough dude. And I also know Nabman. He speaks very highly of, his own wife, and speaks very highly of his own daughters and his kids. And that's the type of family man where I want to be, where I want to be that superhuman. I want to be that superhero. The way I think of my dad, my grandpa, like, I want to be that type of guy. So Nabman, I appreciate those words, man. I really do. What up, Skinbone? I like the hire at OC, but I hope he has matured from the coach who got humbled out of Philly. Here's how I'll say it. Chip Kelly, the reason why he failed in Philadelphia and the reason why he failed as a head coach in the NFL is because he couldn't humble himself. But he always knew X's and O's. He couldn't humble himself. He's got somebody in Pete Carroll. That's going to help him humble himself a little bit. You pair those two together, you're going to get a lot of good stuff together. Ed Robbins, sign Aaron Jones, $7 million, and then draft Scattaboo. Did you watch my mailbag today? I talked about Aaron Jones a little bit. I like this idea. Like, I do. Like, if you told me right now, get a physical running back and then also get somebody who's can catch the football, also run between the tackles and Aaron Jones, and have to break the bank on him, I'm on board for it, man. Like, we need a running attack, and the Raiders are going to invest in the running game. They're going to invest in a lot of pieces this offseason, and I promise you this, I'm going to be here to cover it all. Before I get on out of here, to everybody that showed up tonight, first off, I apologize for not being in the studio. I apologize for not being able to get the content out. And I know I don't have to apologize, but, you guys would apologize to me if you showed up 30 minutes late for a dinner, if you were at some other thing that was totally logical of why you showed up late. That's why I love this chat. That's why I love all y'all. But I mean this. When I get my time, I'm always going to talk about the Raiders with all y'all. I'm always going to pull up here. Believe me, you're the very, very first people I want to talk to when good stuff happens, especially after a year that we just had. But I got to get out of here. I got to go take care of my own. From me, from my Chuck, from my fiance, Alex, to everybody that showed me love today, I love you all to the end of the moon and back. Chip Kelly, welcome to the Las Vegas Raiders. Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Patrick Graham, John Spytek. That wasn't my fist. That's how happy I am. Peace out, all y'all. Next time you're going to see me live is going to be Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific. You're going to get more videos going out tomorrow. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I got a mock draft dropping at 11 a.m. Eastern time. I'll put out another video late tomorrow and then more even content on Tuesday. Live again. It's going to be a fun off season. Can't wait. Also remember, we will be live for Super Bowl 59. Can't flippin' wait. It's going to be an amazing time. Let's go, Eagles. Peace out, all y'all. Again, Chip Kelly could not be more excited that he's the head coach. I got to get out of here. Chip Kelly, OC of the Raiders. Peace out, y'all.